Hello and welcome back to the East Lake Pet Talk podcast. I'm veterinarian Dr. Karen Fling.
And I'm Dr. Will McCauley. Welcome back, everyone, to episode 25. We've been going strong for several months now. We keep getting those subscriptions to all our different modalities of watching the show or listening to the show. And we welcome you back this week for another fun round of talks.
Absolutely, and it's been a fun week.
It has been.
And one of the best things about this last week is that we had a record number of adoptions. And in fact, we sent home as many pets as we often see going home in about a month's time from the orphanage last week.
Out of our ELPO orphanage.
Yeah, out of the charity arm of the work we do.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting.
I heard we had some new ones come in, though, and they have a special story as well, right?
Yes, indeed. Nikki, that's part of the pet orphanage side of our operation, is kind of like the Pied Piper when it comes to orphan pets. They just seem to follow her wherever she goes. And she was involved in a neat rescue story with several kittens that were found in an apartment complex wall. And no doubt, Nikki was behind, a hole being cut right in the wall and these sweet little babies being rescued. And so they're all doing well. They've needed some special care and assistance, but they're nursing from a little bottle, starting to eat from a little bowl, and hopefully they'll be ready to go to some new homes pretty soon.
That's great.
So,
It's actually pretty common is finding kittens in these kind of tucked away areas, either between walls or under sheds, because that's where the mama cat likes to go to have them to kind of nest them down almost.
Right.
But if the mother cat then gets scared and runs away or is not able to get back into the wall, then these kittens are left there and they start to meow, and we have to go in on a rescue mission. Right.
And these may have actually fallen from a higher place down into that area. So sometimes there's no other way but to make that hole and get those babies out.
Exactly.
So
Well,
good for Nikki.
Very, very. And it's good to hear that they're doing well. If you do hear some meowing or yelling inside the wall of your place or anywhere else, it's good to contact. Better pay attention. Contact animal control. They'll get the right people in touch to come rescue them. Recommend you don't crawl into any place to try to get them out yourself, because then you might get stuck and we have to get in more people to do the rescue.
Right. So some of these missions can be quite dangerous.
Yes. Yep.
So
things that aren't dangerous, though, is raising money for ELPO. And I heard that one of our youngest volunteers actually raised money in a special way.
Right. Young volunteer, Simone, who's just 10 years old, did a lemonade stand here recently, along with her sister, Sabrina, who's 8. And the two of them got together and decided to have a lemonade stand to help homeless pets. And if that's not the sweetest thing to see, this little picture here. But they've done a lot of good and created some awareness in terms of homeless dogs and cats of East Lake Pet Orphanage. And both of these girls, along with their mother, have been volunteering for about a year now. And young Simone says that she loves all animals and wants to be a vet. And when her mother asked her why she liked doing volunteering, she said, "It feels good to do something right."
It does feel good to do
And
something
it does
right.
indeed.
Yeah. That's kind of speaks to the lesson that animals have a lot to teach us, and even lots about responsibility. If a child, even if they're not going to take in a pet, it's great that they have this initiative to go and open a lemonade stand and donate the money to an orphanage.
And in times past, we used to say, "Oh gosh, you need to be 18 or some older age to volunteer." And really, since we've kind of opened our eyes to working with these young people, like these two young ladies, it's really been great for them, great for the pets, and it's just a terrific situation all the way around.
I've realized kids really do want to give back.
They do indeed.
It's a great way to
they
do that.
They do indeed. And if everybody gave back just a little bit, we wouldn't have the homeless pet statistics that we have. And in the country, I think it's 8 million pets every year get relinquished to shelters. Yeah. And of those, typically only about 50% make it into a home and are not euthanized. But fortunately, those that we help, they stay with us until they're adopted.
Well, we do appreciate Simone and her sister's contribution. So thank you.
Absolutely.
And hopefully you'll keep volunteering. If any of you would like to volunteer at ELPO or just want to get to know more about the organization.
Right.
I was trying to think
or
of the
pets
word.
Or anything.
Or pets. Yeah, give us a call. You can contact us at 972-808-6038, or you can email us at podcast@welovepets.net. As always, recommend you go and subscribe to the show via iTunes, the link below, or click on the subscribe link here over us.
Again, we need about 50 more subscribers to be on iHeartRadio, so we're very close. We got a few more last week. We were having lots of people watch the show. We've had a record high of like 11,500 viewers for one episode, and we're looking for more support and ways that we can get out there and really answer the questions that people are interested in. So that's what we're here for.
Always. Well, we talked about answering questions. I know we talked about it a little bit last week, kind of teased it, that we're going to talk about pet exercise, specifically the different needs of dogs and cats.
Right. And when we left last week, we had some pet food enrichment toys, toys that involve the food and feeding of pets to try to get them to exercise more in the process of eating. Yes, we did with the cats anyway. Yeah. And we've had kind of mixed results. We have all mature cats, no young kittens in our household, and at least one of them's a bit tubby, so he probably needs the exercise more than anybody. And he's the one you'll see in some of these views here that is lying on his back, getting his belly rubbed. Totally disinterested in exercising. But what we found in our own household is that a muffin tin so far is working the best. We've got all these elaborate toys, and the most exciting toy for the group has been the muffin tin.
And that's the low-tech approach, huh?
Low-tech approach.
Just reach in there and kind of paw it out to get to it, huh?
Right. So far that's working, but we're going to experiment with some of these other food enrichment toys with some of the younger kittens at our office and see which ones seem to work the best.
Well, that enrichment, it also provides them with exercise, which we both agree is very important.
Absolutely.
Just because of the epidemic of pet obesity in America. I think the numbers are that 3 out of 5 cats in America are obese.
And only 1 out of 5 pet owners believes that their pet's overweight.
That's right.
So 60% of cats and actually over 50% of dogs are overweight.
Yeah, so it's important to get them out and about. I know we were talking earlier before the show that cats require about 15 minutes of exercise a day, kind of spaced out.
Generally about 5 minutes 3 times a day can be adequate exercise to help get a cat moving.
So chasing around a laser pointer or a little thing on the end of a string on a stick to kind of play around with.
Yeah, you can take a toy on a ribbon and tie it to your belt and drag that around. And then for dogs, what do you like to do to get them up and moving?
So lots of people like to take their dogs running, which is a great way to let them exercise. You need to remember that the dog needs to set his own pace or her own pace, and so to not push them past what they're capable of. Fetching balls, going outside and running around at dog parks as long as they're fully vaccinated. Great ways to get out and about. And dogs require about 30 minutes of pretty strenuous exercise a day for weight loss and weight management to keep that obesity down.
Right. And one thing that I was reading about is that there's a trend now to where people are using these fitness trackers or motion trackers to kind of see how many paces they're doing. And probably 1 in 10 people nowadays is using these sort of things. And people are actually starting to use these for pets. And so that way you can keep track of their activity levels. You can know whether their activity is decreased relative to their normal. And so really
a step counter, just like we do with us.
Absolutely. Helpful information with that.
Very neat. Well, I don't know if I'd put one of those on my cat. It would count in the single digits of steps, I'm pretty sure. Actually, we shot a little video of your cats using those toys or trying to use the toys, trying to get to
So there's a little bit of activity happening with them, but we've got a long way to go, especially with Mr. Butters. He's our chubby cat.
Well, let's check that video out real quick. We'll be right back.
Very good. Well, you can see we've obviously got some work to do here.
Not quite as much activity as we like to see.
But we're working on it.
It takes
we're doing
time,
our
exactly.
best.
Yeah, you can see, and it's good that you have the family involved, because that's the big thing, is getting buy-in from all the owners in the house to get Mr. Butters and the other ones on track.
Well, the kids wanted to play with these toys more than the cats did. So
it's more of a child enrichment thing too, but that's okay.
Yeah, I think in our house that's definitely the case.
Yeah, yep. We talked about pet exercise, and jogging with your pet is a great way to exercise them. We just have to remember in the summer especially, that can be a very dangerous thing. If they're out running when the heat index is above 80, 90, 100 degrees, dogs can overheat very easily with wearing that fur coat, and they don't sweat.
And even in the 80s, and I think a lot of people think, oh, it's got to be triple digits for it to really be so hot that these pets are affected. But even at those lower temperatures, when the pets are unaccustomed to exercising, we can really see crisis situations. And I don't know about you, but but I've worked a few of the other rescue groups, fun runs and jogging events and that sort of thing. And I'm always amazed at how many people bring their unconditioned dogs out to do these fun runs and walks where, they may be training and really working out on a regular basis, and then they bring an overweight pet out that's at risk for heat stroke.
Exactly. So you have to take into consideration your dog's breed, its age, its overall health status, and its weight. Because if you
talk about the breed. I think a lot of people don't consider that. That's a good point.
Exactly. So, it's not going to be the best idea to take your bulldog running a marathon. They weren't made for that. They aren't built for that. All brachycephalic breeds with the smashed-in face, they are prone to overheating, to breathing issues. A lot of them can have joint issues sometimes.
Right.
And so that can lead to a lot of health problems if you overdo it on the run. They may have the will, but they just don't have the build for it. So,
right. And it can be just restricted airways from soft palate that's elongated and just kind of that short snub nose. But actually, some of these dogs are born with what they call a hypoplastic trachea, where the tracheal diameter is truly smaller than what a normal dog of that size would usually have. So, it can be a really risky thing to do. So,
I would say
work up slowly.
Ease into it. Let the dog set its own pace. It's very important to consider your dog's health as well as your health. We talk about heat stroke. When I say heat stroke, we're talking about hyperthermia, so an elevation in body temperature to the point where the dog is actually can become unresponsive. When I see a dog come in on emergency with heat stroke, they're usually on their side, they're panting, they're kind of what we call dysphoric, so they're not mentally there.
Right.
Of course, they have an elevated temperature, which in dogs can get 104, 105, 106. I've seen as high as
to 107
I've seen as
beyond.
high as 107.
Right.
Yeah, and so the big thing is to
dangerous.
cool these dogs off, which we do in a controlled manner. There's a medically proper way to do it. We don't just dunk them in ice water because that can cause its own set of problems.
Right.
But the much better way of dealing with heat stroke is to not get it in the first place, and that's for you to that's on you.
And look for those early signs too, because before a pet becomes unresponsive and lying out in lateral recumbency, you want to look for things like bright red mucous membranes, excessive panting, and sometimes they'll drool a lot initially, but then their mucous membranes may become dry and tacky, so their tongue and gums.
That's right.
And so really be aware of that, and if you notice any behavioral changes, just back off, get to a cooler place.
Exactly, or call your veterinarian if you do have any questions, or if you do think your dog is going into heat stroke.
Right, it's truly a medical emergency.
It is a true medical emergency. We have lost dogs before to heat stroke, that's for sure.
Right.
A good way to avoid that is to go out to the lake. It's about to become lake season, so get your dog in bikini shape. But there are things to remember when you do take your dog out to the lake to keep them safe and happy. The first thing is, again, consider your dog's overall health and breed and body condition when you take them out either to the lake shore or onto a boat, because not all dogs are great swimmers. Again, I keep picking on bulldogs, but
they're not.
They will sink like a brick. They do have trouble kind of keeping their head above water. Additionally, old pets, some that are weaker, aren't able to swim quite as well. So
and you can use a life jacket.
I was about to say,
really love that.
They sell life jackets for pets today. It's one of the best ideas. And if you do take your pet out on the boat, so if you go across the lake or just go out to kind of float around, put a life jacket on your dog, regardless of how great a swimmer it is, because they can get into trouble just like humans can.
Right, they certainly can.
If you don't have boating on the mind and you're just going to stay near the shore, be sure to watch out for cuts to your dog's feet. A lot of times on these beaches, there's either broken glass, there can be rocks, there can be stuff that'll cut dogs' feet, and dogs love to run up and down the shoreline really fast, and they can actually cut their feet open pretty bad. I've seen some pretty bad incisions.
And stay away from stagnant water, because we do worry about the risk of leptospirosis, which fortunately we can immunize for, but it's transmitted through water, the infective stage is. And then of course there's Giardia.
Yeah, stay at the
beaver
big
fever.
Yeah, stay for the big open areas instead of the small stagnant ponds. That'll definitely make their life and your life a lot better. And the other thing is to, of course, take care of your dog's waste. So don't let your dog defecate near the shoreline or in the water. If it's up on the grass, pick it up in a bag, dispose of it for health reasons and for aesthetic reasons as well.
Right, absolutely. And that's just part of being a good citizen.
Part of being a good citizen, good pet owner.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, speaking of other good things, this is a big weekend coming up.
It's a huge weekend.
Yes, it's about time for Wine on the Roof. This next Sunday, we're going to be celebrating at East Lake the national, feels like national, our local event, Wine on the Roof, where we'll do a great wine tasting, live auction, silent auction, and all the proceeds go to benefit homeless pets. So we hope that anybody who hasn't heard about the event event yet and isn't already planning to come, will log on to wineontheroof.com and learn more about this fun event. So sure to be a good time.
Come out and check us out. What time does that start?
7 o'clock.
7
this
o'clock.
Saturday.
They're at East Lake, 10101 East Northwest Highway.
Right.
Big orange building. Can't miss it.
Absolutely. And we're about out of time, but next week we'll show some fun pics and videos from that event. But we'll be back again before you know it for episode 26. Same time, same place. Thanks so much.
Take care.